Python. In this module, you will learn about interactive mode, script mode, various data types, different functions in Python, sequential statement, different selective statements, various looping statements, string and various string methods, list and different list methods, tuple and various tuple methods, dictionary and different dictionary methods. Python is a high-level language, and you need to have Python interpreter installed in your computer to write and run Python program. You can also consider Python as an interpreted language since you execute Python programs using an interpreter. Python shell in two ways, namely interactive mode and script mode. As the name suggests, interactive mode allows you to interact with OS. When you type a Python statement in interactive mode, the interpreter displays the results immediately. Here is an example. When you type print, welcome to the world of programming, after the prompt, you get the following output. Here is one more example. In this example, if you type print 10 plus 20, you will see 30 as the output. You can even use variables in the statements. For example, say you type I is equal to 10 and j is equal to 30 and then print I into j. Here you will get 300 as the output. In that mode, you need to type Python program in a file and then use the interpreter to execute the content of the file. However, it is easier and convenient to work in interactive mode as compared to the script mode. You can test small pieces of code immediately. But if you want to execute larger programs, it is always recommended that you save your code so that you can modify and reuse later. One can learn, experiment, or explore in interactive mode easily, but cannot save the statements. All the statements have to be retyped to rerun them. Here is an example that inputs any two numbers and finds the quotient and the remainder. When you create a program, sometimes you may require storing values, use them later. You use objects to store data which are computed by the computer to provide information later. An object or variable is the name that refers to a value. Every object has three things: an identity that can be identified using ID or object, a type that can be checked using type, and a value, which is any number or a letter or string. The assignment operator is used to bind a value to a variable. Let us learn each of these in detail. Type or data type is a set of values and the allowable operations on those values. It can be one of the following: number, none, sequences, set, or mappings. Number data type stores numerical values. Value of this data type cannot be changed or is immutable. Numbers can be of three different types: integer and long, to store whole numbers, decimal digits without fraction part, float or floating point, to store numbers with fraction part, and complex, to store real and imaginary parts. The next data type is none. None is a special data type with single value used to signify the absence in a situation. it is represented by none. Now, let us look at what is sequence data type. An ordered collection of items indexed by positive integers is known as a sequence. A sequence is a combination of mutable and non-mutable data types. A mutable variable is one whose value change, whereas an immutable variable is one whose value may not change. Many types of sequence data type available in Python, namely strings, lists, and tuples. An ordered sequence of letters or characters is called a string. A string is an immutable data type, quotes or double quotes. However, remember that the quotes are not part of the string. These are used only to inform the interpreter where the string constant begins and ends. You can have any character, space, or sign in them. A character in Python is represented by a string with length 1. A list is a sequence of values of any type. Values in the list are called elements or items. Lists are mutable and indexed enclosed in square brackets. Tuples are a sequence of values of any type and are indexed by integers. They are immutable and are enclosed in brackets. An unordered collection of values of any type with no duplicate set. A set is immutable. Mapping data type is an unordered and mutable data type. Under mapping come dictionaries. A dictionary can store any number of Python objects. Dictionaries store key pairs and can be accessed using the key. A dictionary is enclosed in curly brackets. Let us now look at keywords. Keywords are the reserved words that the Python interpreter uses to recognize the structure of the program. You cannot use these keywords for any other purpose, as these words have specific meaning for interpreter. Few of the keywords used in Python 2.7 is displayed on your screen. Moving ahead to the next concept, operators and operands. Operators are special symbols that represent computation such as addition and multiplication. The values that the operator is applied to are called operands. Operators, when applied on operands, form an expression. This can be categorized as arithmetic, relational, logical, and assignment operators. The partial list of operators for mathematical or arithmetic operators, relational operators, logical operators, and assignment operators are shown on your screen. Now, let us understand about input and output. A program can interact with the end user by using input-output feature to produce the desired task. The data entered by the user is called input. In Python, you can use the raw_input function and the input function to input the data. Syntax for the raw_input function. Here an example. This example takes the input from the user and displays the same on the screen. Have a look at another example. In this example, it will convert the accepted string into integer before assigning to x. syntax for the input function is as displayed on your screen. Here is an example. In this example, 1.5 will be supplied to the variable y. Next is the print statement. The print statement is used to display the results. Syntax for this statement is as follows. Here is a simple example. Next is comments. Here, it becomes difficult to read and understand what it is doing by just looking at it. Hence, while writing code, one should add notes to the program. These are known as comments. In Python, you can add a comment by starting with a hash symbol. Anything you write after the hash symbol in a line will be ignored by the interpreter. This means that it will not affect the program in any way. To add a multi-line comment in a program, 1. Place the hash symbol in front of each line, or 2. Use triple quoted strings. Here is an example that uses triple quotes. Let's move ahead to recall about functions in Python. A function is a named sequence of statements which can be tasks or tasks. It contains a few lines of code that are executed line by line from top to bottom by the Python interpreter. They are the most important and basic statements in any Python software. To work in script mode, you need to write the Python code in functions and save it in the file having a .py extension. Functions can be categorized into 3 types: modules, built-in functions, and the first category of functions, module, is a file which contains Python definitions and statements. Standard library of Python is extended as module or modules for the purpose of programming. To use a module, you must import. Once you import a mod functions or variables in your code. There are various ways to import a module, but the ones that you must be familiar with are import and from methods. Import is the most common and simple way to use modules in code. The syntax of import is as shown on the screen. Here is an example that import any number and find square and square root of that number. Let us now look at the second way to import modules, that is, the from statement. You can use this statement if, instead of the complete module, you want to get only a particular function or functions. This statement is used when you know well in advance which functions you would need. Besides this, when a module has a lot of functions, it is apt to use the from statement instead of import. The syntax for the from statement is as follows. The statement from module name import star will import everything from the file. Take a look at an example that uses from statement to import functions such as square root and power functions from the math module. There is functions available in math module. Some of them are shown on the screen. Similarly, random module also has few functions. Some of these are shown on the screen. Let us now move on to learn about built-in functions. These are functions that are already built into Python and can be accessed by a programmer. These functions are readily available for use. Hence, there is no need to import any module or file. Python has a small set of built-in functions as most of the functions have been partitioned to modules. This was done in order to keep core language precise. Here are some examples of built-in functions. Besides these, you can create your own functions as well. These functions can then be combined to form a module which can be imported and used in other programs. In order to define a function, the keyword called def is used. This is an executable statement and hence can be used anywhere in the program. This is followed by an identifier. An identifier is the name you give to the function you create. The next step is to write parameters which you would like within the parenthesis. The final step is to tell the software that you want to end the statement, which is done by placing a code. This is followed by the block part of a function. The syntax of a user-defined function is shown on the screen. Here is an example that uses a user-defined function, learn Python. Let us now learn about and arguments in detail. Parameters are the values provided in the parenthesis when the function header is written. These have function. For instance, while calculating the area of a square, side is a parameter. If there is a requirement of more than one parameter, then all of them will be listed as parameter list and separated by a comma. An example is shown here. Arguments are the values provided in the function call or invoke statement. List of arguments are provided in the same way just as the parameters are provided. The bonding of parameters to arguments is 1:1. Thus, the parameters and arguments should be same in number and of the same type. Here is an example that takes 100, 2, and 5 as arguments while calling the function si. You can have constants, variables, or expressions as arguments. Here is another example. In this example, if you do not enter a value for the variable r and t, it will take 3 and 10 respectively. When a program is executed, it starts executing from the first statement of the program. Then it executes the subsequent statements one after the other from top to bottom. However, the execution of the program can be categorized into 3 ways. 1. Sequence statements. 2. Selection statements. And 3. Iteration or looping statements. In sequence statements, all the instructions are executed one after the other. Here is an example that finds the area of a rectangle using sequential statements. As you would notice, here all 4 statements are executed one after another. In selection statements, a portion of the program is executed based upon the conditional test. If the conditional test is true, the compiler will execute a part of the program, otherwise it will execute another part of the program. You can implement selection statements in Python using if statement. Syntax of if statement is as follows. Here are a few examples of selection statements. Next are iterative statements. Sometimes in your programs, you need certain set of statements to be executed based upon conditional test. This type of execution is called looping or implement looping statement in Python by using for and while statements. Syntax for the for and while loop screen. Here is a program code that inputs any number and prints all even numbers up to given number. This program uses for loop. Have a look at a program that prints numbers from 1 to 10. This program uses while loop. Here is one more program that uses nested while loop, that is, while within while loop. Have a look at a program code that prints table starting from 1 to specified number. This program uses for loop with another while loop. A string is a consecution of characters. Each element of a string can be accessed using a subscript or index. The subscript is a positive or negative integer and always begins with 0, literal or a constant value to a string by using single quotes, double quotes, or triple quotes. Strings are immutable and their contents cannot be changed once you create it. There are few important string operators such as concatenation, repetition, membership, not in, range, and slice. Here are a few examples that use these string operators. The important string methods and built-in functions are length, capitalize, find, is all num, is digit, lower, is upper, upper. Some more string and built-in function strip is space, replace, swap case, partition, and split. Have a look at few examples to understand these methods better. Have a look at a program code that inputs any string and counts number of uppercase and lowercase letters. Just like a string, a list is also a sequence data type. Major difference between a string and a list is that in a string, the values are characters, while a list can have values of any type. It is an ordered set of values which are enclosed in square brackets. You can modify the values in the list. In other words, they are mutable. Since a list is a set of values, you can identify a value belonging to it with a slice operator works on list also. You can use slice operator to display more than one selected values on the output screen. You can treat slices as boundaries. The result of slices will contain all the elements between boundaries. Let us now look at the syntax of a list slice. The syntax is as you can see on the screen. Here start, stop, and step. All three are optional. If you omit the first index, the slice starts from 0, and if stop is omitted, the slice will take it to the end. The default value of step is 1. An example. In this example, if you write L1 equals list of 2, 4, and then print L1, you will get 40 as the output. The various list methods are append, extend, pop, delete, remove, insert, sort, reverse, and length. Here are few examples that use these methods. Note that the concatenation and addition operators can also be applied on the lists. Concatenation operator is used to concatenate two lists, and repetition operator repeat a list for the given number of times. Here is an example. Moving ahead to the next concept, dictionaries. A dictionary is a generalized form of a list. The main difference between a list and a dictionary is that the index value in a list is an integer, whereas it is of any other data type, and they are called keys. These keys are used as strings, since it is very easy to recall. A dictionary is very much useful for storing and retrieving all key-value pairs. In a key-value pair, each element is accessed by a unique key. Another key difference is that dictionaries are not in a specific sequence. Therefore, there is no left to right order. A dictionary can also be considered as a mapping between a set of indices, also called keys. Every key maps a value, and a combination of a key and a value is called a key-value pair. Take a look at the screen to understand how to write the syntax of a dictionary. As you can see, a dictionary is created using curly brackets. The various dictionary methods are compare, length, clear, get, has underscore key, items, keys, values, and dict. Here are few examples that illustrates the use of the last concept of this session, tuples. A tuple is a sequence of values any type, and they are indexed by integer. Tuples are similar to a list. The only difference is that you cannot change values of tuples in place. Therefore, tuples are immutable. Like list, the index value of tuple also starts from 0. A tuple contains a set of values separated by commas. Here is an example. However, while displaying the result, same tuple is shown using parentheses. If you want to create a tuple with a single element, then use a comma at the end. Remember that if you use a value within the parenthesis, then it is not considered as a tuple. You can use a slice operator on a tuple to display more than one selected value on the output screen. We know that slices are considered as boundaries, and the result contains all the elements within the defined boundaries. Syntax of a tuple slice is as shown on the screen. Here, all the three parameters, start, stop, and step, are optional. If you omit the first index, then the slice starts from 0. If you omit the stop index, then slice will continue till the end. Default value of step is 1. In the example, starting position of the tuple slice is 3 and ending position is 4, that is 5 minus 4. Therefore, the output is 60, 80, and 100. There are various tuple functions such as compare, length, maximum, minimum, and tuple. Here are a few examples that use tuple functions. In this module, you have learned interactive mode allows you to interact with OS. In script mode, you type Python program in a file and then use interpreter to execute the content of the file. The various data type used in Python are number to store numeric values, sequence selection of items indexed by positive integers, arithmetic operators, relational operators, logical operators, assignment operators. A function is named sequence of statements that perform a computation. A module is a file containing Python definitions, functions, and statements. Standard library of Python is extended as modules to a programmer. In Python, consecutive sequence of characters is known as a string. Individual character in a string is accessed using a subscript. A list is a sequence of values of any type. Values in the list are called elements or items. Lists are mutable and indexed enclosed in square brackets. Tuples are a sequence of values of any type and are indexed by integers. They are immutable and in brackets. A dictionary is a generalized form of a list. A dictionary can store any number of Python objects. Dictionaries store key-value pairs and can be accessed using the key. A dictionary is enclosed in curly brackets.